Good morning, Year 4. Welcome to your maths lesson for Monday, the 1st of March. Today we're going to be carrying on with time a little bit, and we're going to be converting units of time today, so hours, minutes, seconds, that sort of thing. But we're going to do some fraction warm-ups first. So if you could have a look at these pictures, and could you write the fraction of each shape that is shaded, and then can you find an equivalent fraction for any of them? So remember to do the same to the top as you do to the bottom. Multiplying is easier than dividing. Have a go. Off you go. Okay, so let's have a look at the answers. So the blue here are the answers, all right, and then the red is an example of what you might have done as an equivalent fraction, but that's not the only answer. There are lots of equivalent fractions. So the first one, for example, there are 3 equal pieces. One of them is shaded in, so that is 1/3. Don't forget that first number should be the one that's on the top of the fraction. It's just that's how they come out on this flip chart. So 1/3 is shaded, and then I times the top number by 2 and got 2, and I times the bottom number, so I times 3 times 2 and got 6 to find my equivalent fractions. Okay, then for the second one it was 2/4, and I decided to halve those, so divide by 2 to get 1/2, to say it's the same as half, or you could have doubled those or times 3 or whatever. And you'll notice on lots of them for my examples I've times by 2, because that's just a really easy, straightforward way to do it. Don't need to do anything fancy. Just that they're all equivalent fractions. The last one is two halves, and that makes 1 whole. All right, or if we wanted, we could say 4/4 or 3/3 or whatever, really any number we wanted, but it's the same as a whole, isn't it, in that case? So there are lots of other different equivalent fractions. As long as you've done the same to the bottom as you did to the top, it's an equivalent fraction and you're all good. Right, let's move on. So this hopefully shouldn't be too tricky for us. It's just a case of sort of remembering a few things in this lesson today. 1 minute equals how many seconds? How many minutes make an hour, and how many hours make a day? So just pause quickly and see if you can fill those in for a minute, and also have a think about which activities might last 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second. Off you go. Okay, so I was just having a look if I'd written those on, but I haven't. So 1 minute is the same as 60 seconds. So there are 60 seconds. That little hand that sometimes goes around quite quickly on an analog clock, it goes all the way around once. It takes 60 seconds, and then the minute hand will move one of those tiny little spaces on the minute on the clock, on an analog clock. How many minutes in an hour? There are also 60 minutes in an hour, so that's nice and neat, isn't it? 1 minute is 60 seconds and 60 minutes is an hour. And how many hours in a day? 24 hours in a day. Okay, so that's the day and the night. All right, so from 12 o'clock midnight all the way through the morning, all the way through the afternoon, and all the way back round to midnight again. That's 24 hours. Okay. Moving on. Can you pause, and can you please sort the activities under the headings depending on the approximate length of time they take to complete? So if you write these across the top, 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second, and I've done your steps to success here just to remind you at the bottom, and then just write these under the correct headings for me. Off you go. Okay, let's have a look at these then. Clapping. So now I know we could clap for an hour, but realistically, I don't think anyone claps for an hour. If you think about clapping at the end of a show or something, we would generally clap for about a minute. 1 second would be too quick, wouldn't it? We couldn't do much clapping in a second. So I think clapping is going to go down there under 1 minute. Clap for about a minute. You think about when we're clapping people at the end of assembly and stuff like that. Running round the playground. Well, So it's run around the playground. So I guess that's just once running around the playground. Now, it's not going to take a second, is it? No one's that quick. Even Usain Bolt couldn't get around that quickly. If you put it in 1 minute, that's okay. And if you put it in 1 hour, I mean, that's going to be a big playground, isn't it? But if you thought that you might run around on the playground for an hour at playtime, then that could go in there. So that one could go in there, or it can go in there. It doesn't really matter, does it? I'm going to put it there because I'm imagining running just one loop around the playground. But if you were imagining sort of playing out on the playground and you put it in an hour, that's fine too. Right, blinking. Definitely can't make a blink take an hour. I'm just having a go now. I can't make a blink take an hour or even a minute. A blink literally takes a second, doesn't it? So that one's going to go into the 1 second. A swimming lesson. Be a really short swimming lesson, wouldn't it? Oh, not really worth getting changed for. You wouldn't even get in the pool in a second. Likewise, a minute. That's a lot of getting wet and getting dry for 1 minute. So swimming lesson is more likely to go in an hour. I know all swimming lessons aren't always an hour long, but it's more like the minute, isn't it? PE lesson the same. We don't have a 1 minute PE lesson. Definitely don't have a 1 second PE lesson. So we have about an hour PE lesson. Out of those 3 options, that one's the most sensible one. Tying your shoelaces. Don't think anyone can tie their shoelaces in a second. I don't know that it's going to take anyone an hour though, so I'm going to put that in the minute one. Okay. And you could argue some of these. You could say, well, you can clap in a second. It depends if you're just clapping once, doesn't it? You could say that. I don't know. It looks neater, doesn't it, when we put them like that? You could say you're just going to clap. Or are you thinking about clapping? I don't know. So clap could go in the minute or the second one as well, couldn't it? So it's a bit. If someone's got a reason to argue where they're going, then that's fine. Right. Moving on. Oh, do you recognise these clocks? This is one of those times when you'd all have one of these little clocks in your little hands. So I've given you one to look at so you don't forget what they look like. How many minutes are there in an hour? We've already talked about that. It's down here, isn't it? 60 minutes in an hour. How can we use a clock face to check? Well, excuse me, sorry. We start at the 12 and we count round in 5s because this is the minutes, isn't it? The little blue dots are all the minutes going round, and that's why the blue hand is the minute hand on this clock to help us remember that. So count round in 5s though, don't we? Because it's easier to count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So there are 60 minutes in an hour. So this blue hand here, the longer one, it's usually longer and thinner too. It takes 1 hour. So it's here at the moment, just before the 4. It's on 19 minutes past. And for it to get all the way back round to where it started, wherever it starts, it takes an hour. Okay, and we count those minutes in 5s, which we did in one of the lessons last week, just because they're easier to count. So if we're counting this time, we would look at the hour and we say it's something past 5, isn't it? Because this hour hand has just gone past the 5, and it's on the minute hand is on the past side of the clock, and we count round as far as we can in 5. So we say 5, 10, 15. And then I can't go all the way to 20 because it hasn't got there yet. So I'll stop on 15 and I start counting in 1s then. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I would say it is 19 minutes past 5. Okay. Let's move on. So I just want you to pause here a second and have a little try at this one. We've already said that 1 hour is 60 minutes. So I just want you to see if you can work out how many hours, how many minutes 2 hours is, half an hour, 1 minute, 3 minutes. I will say that it'd be helpful to use your 6 times table here. Okay, if we imagine that's just a 6 and we use our 6 times table, that will help you. Okay, so pause here and have a try at working out those for me. Okie doke, let's have a little look. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So therefore I know that 2 hours is 120 minutes because double 60 is 120. Also, I could have just ignored that 0 and said 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 6 is 12. Then half an hour, well, I've just got half that 60, haven't I? And that's 30 minutes. So half of 60 is 30. So I can see that that's 30 minutes. 1 minute is 60 seconds. Okay, that's down here. That's literally written here, look. in our steps to success. Then 3 minutes. So if 1 minute is 60 seconds, I used my knowledge of the 6 times table to work that out, because I knew that 3 times 6 was 18. And then I made sure that I included my 0. And then 4 minutes is 240 seconds. And I used my 6 times table for that, because I thought, well, I know that 4 times 6 is 24. So that's going to be 4 minutes, because 4 lots of 60 is going to make 240. Okay, so good work if you work those out. You might have worked them out in different ways, that's fine. If you got to the same answers, that's not a problem. We all work things out in different ways, don't we? So let's move on. Don't panic about this looks really tricky, and it's really not that tricky. Josh reads a chapter of his book in 5 minutes and 28 seconds. Tom reads a chapter of his book in 300 seconds. Who reads their chapter the quickest? So the thing that we have to do, if we remember, and this is especially for a certain somebody who knows who they are, who always says they don't know what this is, rucksack. So this helps us to solve our word problems. So we've got R is reading the problem. Okay, so we're going to read it. I've already done that, but I'll read it again. Josh reads a chapter of his book in 5 minutes and 28 seconds. Tom reads a chapter of his book in 300 seconds. Who reads their chapter the quickest? And then U is understanding. Okay, so to help me to understand, I'm going to underline. So understanding and underlining, or highlighting in my case. It doesn't matter that his name's Josh, but he reads his book in 5 minutes and 28 seconds. And then the other one reads it Tom reads it in 300 seconds. And then I want to know who's the quickest. So I've read my problem. I've understood and underlined. Okay, so I know that I need to work out which one of these times is quickest. Then I'm going to do my calculation. Now, to be able to do my calculation, I need to make these two the same. Okay, these are in seconds, and this is in seconds and minutes. So I need to work out how many seconds there are in 5 minutes, add them to that, and then see which is more seconds. Okay, so that is the calculation that I need to do. I need to do how many minutes are there, seconds are there in 5 minutes. Now, if I know that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, I'm going to need to do 60 times 5, because there are 5 minutes, aren't I? And then I'm going to need to add 28 to my answer. Okay, and that will give me how many seconds it is, and I can tell then which one has done the most. So I'm going to leave you to pause in a second. I've helped you to read and understand the problem. I've helped you with what calculation you need to do. I'd like you to solve the calculation now. So I'd like you to do our 60 times 5. So we're doing, because there's 60 seconds in each of those 5 minutes. So we're doing 60 times 5 and then adding those extra 28 on. So I'd like you to answer the question, solve the problem, answer the question, and check your answer for me. Okay, so can you pause here and have a try at that, please? Okay, let's have a look at the results. So I did exactly what I told you to do. I did 60 times 5, and I did that as a column multiplication. I could have done 6 times, so I could have ignored the 0, done 6 times 5 and then included my 0 in my answer, or I could do it like this, however I wanted to do it. 5 times 0 was 0 and 6 times 5 was 30, so I put that on, so it was 300. So I had my answer was 300, so that's the 5 minutes in seconds, and then I had 28 more, so I added those together. I could do that in my head, so that was 328 seconds. So I have come to the conclusion, it's not Josh, why have I written Josh? Josh at all. There comes into checking our answer, isn't it? Because Tom reads the chapter the quickest, because Josh reads it in 328 seconds and Tom reads his chapter in 300 seconds. So Tom reads the chapter the quickest. Okay, and so that's my solving my problem was here. my answering the question is here, and then checking my answer, because I got the answer right. Look, I worked out each of them. I didn't read the question properly, was it? Because the question, did I? Because the question was, who reads their chapter the quickest? And I just automatically wrote down who took the longest. So Tom reads the chapter the quickest. So I checked my answer, thankfully, and I now am quite confident I've got my answer right. So well done if you had a go at that. Okay, Hinge question. Time. 2 hours is the same as, is it the same as A, 20 minutes? Is it the same as B, 120 seconds? Is it the same as C, 120 minutes? Or is it the same as D, 240 seconds? Pause here. A, B, C, or D? Which is it going to be? Okay, the answer, drum roll please, is not 20 minutes. No. Because I can plainly see that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So if there are 60 minutes in an hour, then obviously it's not 20 minutes. B, 120 seconds. Well, there are 60 minutes in an hour. That's seconds. 120 seconds is just the same as 2 minutes, not 2 hours. So it's not that one. 120 minutes. Is 60 add 60, 120? Yes, it is. Tick. I think it's that one. I'm going to have a little consideration of this one as well. 240 seconds. Seconds. So if I was to divide that by 6, that would be times 4. So that makes 4 minutes. That's not 4. I want 2 hours, not 4 minutes. So my answer is C, 120 minutes. So well done you if you got that one right. Moving on to the silver task for today. You have a simple table. Draw it out for me with a ruler. Would be really good. Fill in the table to show how many seconds there are in minutes. So 1 minute. I've told you 1 minute's down here. Look on the steps to success. 60 seconds. And then use your 6 times table to work out the others, please. Pause here and have a go at that. And here are all the answers. And if you look, if you ignore those zeros, this is basically a 6 times table, isn't it? 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So my 6 times table really helped me out with those. Then moving on to our, pause if you need to, obviously, to mark those. And then moving on to our gold activity. So there's 2 things here that you have to do, 2 different things. So Jack takes part in a sponsored silence. He says, if I'm silent for 5 hours at 10p a minute, I will raise £50. Do you agree with Jack? Explain why you agree or disagree. Dora says, to convert hours to minutes, I multiply the number of hours by 60. Is she correct? Can you explain why? So pause here and have a go at those. They'll probably take you a little while to work out, so don't worry if you're pausing for a good while here. Off you go. Okay, and I will reveal the answers. So Jack is incorrect. There are 60 minutes in an hour, so 60 times 10p equals 600p pence, which is the same as £6. So £6 times 5 equals £30, not 50. Okay, so he was not correct. Dora, let's see if you're correct. And you're, sorry, up here, you're explaining why you agree or disagree is you're kind of working out. And then Dora is correct. For example, 1 hour is 60 minutes. So 1 times 60 is 60. 2 hours is 120 because 2 times 60 is 120. So if you've written some sort of explanation with sums and examples, then that's fine to explain why she is correct. Okay, pause here if you need to check those over. I would say if you've got a different answer, make sure you really read these explanations and understand them, all right? And drop us a message if you don't understand them so we can help. Okay, on to Platinum then for today. Again, I won't read this one because I think I sometimes confuse you when I'm reading the Platinum things. So pause here and have a try at it, and then I will reveal the answer when you press go again. Okay, so I'm hoping that to find out which child finished the race closest to 2 minutes, you changed each of those into minutes rather than seconds. And let's have a little look at who the winner was. Move myself out of the way a little bit. Ron was the closest to 2 minutes, as he was 1 second quicker than 2 minutes. Okay, so 2 minutes is 120 seconds and he was 119 seconds. So that's really close, isn't it, to 2 minutes. The fastest time, so if you worked out what 2 minutes was in seconds, which was 120, then you could see which one of those was the quickest. The fastest time was 100 seconds. The fastest time is 100 seconds, the slowest time 202 seconds. The difference between the fastest and the slowest times is 1 minute and 42 seconds. Okay, so again, pause here, plod your way through the answers. And then, bless you, press play again. So I feel I should say goodbye to you. So I will see you tomorrow for Tuesday's lesson and have a lovely rest of the day. Okay, bye.